think we're live. Hello, Sheddies. How are we all? You join me in my shed on my own this week. Mark is swanning it around the Mediterranean on a cruise. Bet he's loving it. What's the bets are? He's going to log in at some point, put some comments on there. So, hello, Brett. Useful. Adam, Sean, good to see you here. Who else we got in? Yeah, I think it's everyone at the minute, unless you want to comment if you're not commenting already. But yeah, this week, obviously Mark's away in his cruise. And by the way, is my sound coming through okay? And my picture? All good? Face for radio. That's what we say. Right, Rod, good evening. So, Mark's away for the next 2 weeks. So we've got a guest on, special guest. He's got a podcast already, actually, talking about craft ales and beers and pub sheds, that sort of thing. He's waiting backstage at the moment. But I thought before we do that, I would show you, unless you've already seen it, I've actually got like a bar, kitchen, pub shed at the side of this shed here. You might have seen the tour already, but I thought with the miracles of technology, let's see if I can do this. Let me see if I can do it. All right, camera. Right, see if I can pan across to this other camera. Come on. Yes, done it. Right. Hopefully you can still hear me because the microphone's still in the shed part. And I'm hoping, can you see me okay? I'm just looking at the screen. Yeah, I can always see. So this is my bar kitchen shed that we use for when we're in parties and stuff. Workbench. Doors underneath that maybe is actually like a shaker style, made them out of plywood with an edge around there. There's some videos of that actually. A few spirits up there. I haven't used it that much, 3 months actually, with home renovations. So I've called it the Rockery, named after myself and my wife. I'm hoping you can hear me. I'm probably better to shout. Fridge freezer here. They actually painted it and made it retro style. And then I put a grill here for doing burgers and stuff. And then if we see out there, there's the windows that actually open. And then it's like a bar, so you can serve burgers and the like outside. Made it from scratch, probably about 2 years ago now, probably a bit over. So that's it in a nutshell. Let us get back to the other camera. See if this works. Is this a disaster or not? Right, let's have a look. Okay, right, bang. Other camera, come on. Are you working? Yes, we are. Right. So why am I showing you that? Because I've been interested in pub sheds and bar kitchens, that sort of thing. A while ago, a guy mentioned me on his podcast. For someone that gets involved in all sorts, he mentioned on his podcast that because I had an allotment at the time, so I was growing vegetables, playing around with tools, building sheds. And he was saying, I think he was pretty much saying that my head's a bit of a pinball machine. And I showed my wife and she says, I can't agree more. You've got one thing going on there, one thing going on there. Anyway, enough waffle. Let's bring him on. He's a craft ale enthusiast. I think that's probably the best word. He doesn't want to be called an expert, but I think he is. I know zero. I know squat about IPAs and craft beers. So hopefully Jimbo will enlighten me and educate me. So without further ado, bear with me 1 second. Hello, Jimbo. Sorry about that. Technical difficulties, as always.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
How are you?
How's it going? Yeah, I'm all right. Thank you. Yeah, thanks a lot for having me on.
Oh, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. I've been wanting to get to the stage where we can have a guest on at some point, and you were my first choice, first guest ever on Shed Space, and I think it'll appeal to a lot of our subscribers.
It's like first the worst, and all that kind of thing.
Exactly. But we've got to break our teeth somewhere, and I think this is a perfect opportunity. So, the Brew Club. There we go. Now then, Jimbo, you must know this guy.
I do, yes. Yes, he is. He's not just a follower, actually. He's a show contributor. That's why he's just said Jimbo the Gaffer. So,
wow.
So Joe at the Brew Club Hull does this really good feature on the show each week, which has been running since about January. and it's called Desert Island Beers. So you've probably heard of, Desert Island Discs, which is obviously you hear it on the Radio 2 was it who did it and things like that. But Joe speaks to people in the Instagram community who are big sort of beer lovers and enthusiasts and experts. And he asks them questions about the favourite pubs, if they could only go to one pub for the rest of their life, one brewery, one beer for the rest of their life, what album they'd listen to, along with a pack of beers, if they could choose one album, all those kind of things. So, he's got some really good guests on. And this week, on Friday's episode, he's actually got, I don't know if anyone will know this band or have heard of this band from sort of like the early noughties, but a drummer from the Paddingtons, who were a band who were sort of knocking about same sort of time as the Arctic Monkeys were getting famous. So they probably suffered from that a little bit, actually, because bands at the time sort of went into their shadow a little bit. But he's featured this week, and we're hoping to get more sort of like star beer lovers on as well going forward. So that's what Joe does for the show. Yeah.
Fantastic. What is the best album to drink to? Have you decided what the absolute?
Well, I've not featured on Desert Island Beers yet, so I'm keeping mine a secret. And to be honest, I ain't decided. We have a lot of people who like their Oasis who listen in. We have a lot of quite, fans of metal music and stuff like that as well. Not that we play much metal music on the show, but we have a lot of fans like that. I know Joe likes his Eminem, his rap, hip hop, things like that. So the people who listen to our show, because we are a music based podcast as well. So obviously Ale and Audio, the beauty of our show for us is that it's not just, we're more like a radio show. If you listened on a Friday, when it goes out, which is, it's not live, but you can listen from Friday at 12 o'clock to the latest episode. So available at midnight on a Friday. And it's a combination of talk, beer chat, pub shed chat, but also music as well. Cause, so it's very much like a radio show. And we do have
it's a radio show, isn't it? Yeah.
Technically, it's more like that than a podcast, if anything. So yeah.
Fantastic. And if you were interested, it's on Spotify, and it's just under Ale and Audio. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, we have lots of silly things going on. So the first thing, I apologize in advance, everyone. The first thing you'll hear if you tune into any episode is a really bad parody song. So
we know all about theme tunes and parody songs. We try to do one here as well, but it didn't work out particularly well.
I've got one. I've got one from last week's that actually might go down quite well with your listeners, who are obviously all Sheddies in some way or another, aren't they? Or shed garden in DIY enthusiasts. So I don't know if you want to hear it. There's just last week's parody song. You sure?
Cool. Defo.
It's called Sheds on Fire. My shed was my one true love. It had lights, TVs, fridges and stuff. But I plugged in whatever I desired. And now my shed's on fire. I have set my flipping shed on fire. It burnt down, 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 and the flames went higher. And it burns. My shed's on fire.
Brilliant.
My shed's on fire.
Fantastic.
I'll not play all of it, but that's the kind of thing you get every week, a different parody song intro. And
Oh, great. That's my copyright gone for this video, but never mind. That's what we like.
I've worked it out. You should be okay because they can't detect it's an actual song because it's my words going up at top. And
really? It doesn't detect the robots. The bots don't know.
Exactly,
bots don't know.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, that's it.
Look, you're a craft ale enthusiast, beer enthusiast. Yep. I keep calling you. Would you call yourself an enthusiast? What are you?
I prefer, we call ourselves beer lovers on Instagram, but I prefer
beer lovers. That's loads better.
Yeah. Prefer enthusiast over expert. I can't say I'm an expert. I mean, some of the guys that come on the show, particularly Andy Dunn of the Dunn Inn in Stoke, he's got his own
Andy,
shed.
Check him out on Instagram, by the way. He's got a great bar shed.
He has, and I really would put him down as the expert, and also Dave Hardy as well. But I'm an enthusiast, so I kind of know what I like, and I kind of know the varieties, and where they all come from, and that kind of thing. So yeah.
Fantastic. Look, you're in your pub shed. What do you call it? A bar shed, pub shed, bar
Pub shed, yeah.
Stroke studio. So you built this from the ground up. I think most of us have. And
actually, that's where it's slightly different for me. Actually, this was just here when I bought the house. It's an old Apex garden shed. It was just a standard shed. So eventually, after it was filled with junk fears, it's had to clear it out. I've insulated, and luckily it's a shed with a groove, so you can kind of cut your insulation to size and push it in, leaving that gap that I know your experts who were listening might know all about.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't know.
I've left the gap, and we've got and I put ply over the top of it, painted it, so it's it's fully insulated. The roof's the same, no leaks or anything yet, and it's been up for nearly 3 years this January.
Felted roof.
No, they're out on the outside. It's actually pond liner on the outside. We had to do a bit of a makeshift thing when we did it, but it's pond liner, and that's worked fine.
It's similar to EPDM. Have you heard of EPDM? It's a great line to stick on your roof. It lasts 25 years, but
yeah. So it's not going to suffer from the sun and stuff like that as much as it, and so on. I think, but the only thing I didn't do was the floor. And there's kind of a reason behind that. I didn't do the floor, insulate the floor. So the floor's a bit cold, but the reason for that is so that I can keep the beers cold. So if I do have a barrel or a mini keg or bottles on the floor, I've got a pump, so working sort of cask pump there. So it's just handy to keep things cold. Yeah.
I was going to ask you about that. I've seen people do the draft beer with the a small fridge, and they put the keg or whatever in the fridge, and they put drill a pipe through the side, and then back out again, so it keeps it chilled. I thought it was then with what's it called, a hand pump machine? It's not called a hand, it's a machine, isn't it? Draft.
There's various different ones. I mean, this is one for mainly cask beer, so you won't have carbonated ones on that. So beer in a bag type things you can put onto that. So where the breweries fill a big bag of beer up for you, you attach it to the pump, and because the air's shrinking around the bag's shrinking around the beer, no air gets in, and it keeps the beer fresh for about 30 days as long as you keep the beer cool. So that's really good in comparison to what pubs have, which is like metal kegs. They obviously have to sell beer a lot quicker. They have to, make sure they've cleared a barrel within a week because of the air that's in the barrel when the beer's leaving the barrel. So the beer in a bag's a great thing to have. Yeah.
Bro. Just a quick question there from Ian. Jimbo, sign up to craft beer. Any good brands to sign up to? I know you're into your local. Or is it local stuff or?
Yeah, so I haven't really had many beer subscriptions, but I will say I did start with one, which was kind of bought for me by work when I was leaving my old job, and it's before I got into craft beer. So I wouldn't say that they're the best, but they are a really good option for people who are wanting to try craft beer and maybe they haven't already. So Beer 52, and I think I've got one of the slides, haven't I?
Let me go.
So I'd say if anyone's new to craft beer and you haven't tried it, but you want to kind of dip your toe in and not spend too much in the beginning, try Beer 52 because they offer free opening trials where you can get a free box and just pay for postage. And if that's not available when you go to the website, then you could use the code Hardy, which is one of our guys on the podcast, and that'll get you a free box as well. And it'll give you, you just have to pay for postage. So they're a good starting point. I wouldn't say they're the best, but they're a good cheap starting point. You can get your free box. Obviously, make sure you cancel after if you don't want any more. If you want to try something different, you can phone up and cancel. But there are some really good ones out there. I've been really tempted by one called Bruiser. And I know a few of the Instagram beer lovers have them, and they've got some good opening offers on. I've just seen that they're doing like for 24 quid, I think you can get 8 Cloudwater beers. Now, Cloudwater are a really, really good brewery based in Manchester. And they do some excellent beers. So, it sounds expensive, and it is going to be more expensive than, your Foster's, your Carlin, John Smith's and stuff.
Of course.
But if you want to get into craft beer, again, Bruiser, I think that's one I'd be tempted to go for next if I was going to get myself a box of beer or something. But I do tend to use my local bottle shop, to be fair, and support the independent bottle shops and go and pick and choose. And then I do the old thing of getting fridge fillers from the supermarket. So supermarkets have a good range of craft beer now as well. So you can pick up some decent breweries beers from there as well. But I just try and support local as well at the same time.
Of course, it's like anything. We always say the same with DIY merchants as well, local DIY. It's the same thing. Try and keep them going as long as possible. I went down today. Jimbo said, because I said, look, let me open a few IPAs while we're on live and just see what I think you've got the same. I went down. I never really look at IPAs. I'll show you my extent of drinking. So if I'm drinking beer, it's a Budweiser. If I'm drinking wine, red wine. So there's 3 drinks basically, occasional cocktail. And then if I want a spirit, it's Southern Comfort. And that is it. I'm a bit of a, I suppose, Neanderthal really when it comes to things like this. So I'm learning as I go. And when I went to, Jimbo says, right, get these 3 particular drinks. I couldn't find one of them, found the others, but I was surprised how many there are in that particular aisle. I think I walk past them every time to get the bottle of wine. And I don't even really look. I noticed that Brewdog is quite prevalent. There's loads of different varieties there.
I mean, again with Brewdog, they've kind of had a bit of criticism over the last few years for various things, which I think they clearly, if you look at them, they're clearly trying to sort of fight back against that a little bit. But what I would say about Brewdog is, again, they got a lot of people into craft beer, and it's widely available. So again, they're a really good place to start. And they've got a lot of Brewdog bars as well. So you would say that about them, and the fact that they're a good starting point for a lot of people entering craft beer. So yeah,
good entry point. Yeah. Well, let's quickly before we go further into that, let's just show you what I got. You asked me to get. Which one do we start with? The Vocation.
Yeah. Are we gonna drink it?
Yeah, defo. Why? Do I drink it out of the can or in a glass?
No, it's completely up to you. I think
I've got a glass.
Yeah, I think glasses are nice because you get to see the color of it and stuff like that. But yeah, so these are a Leeds-based brewery, and this is a DDH pale ale. So that means double dry hopped. What that means, and again, I'm not a beer expert, but when obviously beers have hops in them. You probably know about what your hops are because of your gardening and your allotment stuff that you do and stuff. But with dry hopping, it's doing it slightly differently in the sense that they add the hops later on to bring out more of the flavors of the beer. So that's what they kind of do. And double dry hopping is kind of doing that in 2 stages at the late stage of the brewing. So that's kind of how they get the sort of different flavors out of a beer. And so, to those people who are thinking, what's the difference between lager and stuff like that? Well, they do have, because they use a mixture of hops in these different things, and there's such a range of hops out there. They've all got their sort of own different sort of like flavors, or they bring out different flavors. So whether it be stone fruits or grapefruits or orange flavors, all these different hops can bring out different flavors. And what you'll find with beer is not everyone likes the same thing. So I'm one of those people that I don't really leave bad reviews because I find that I'm just going to have a different taste to other people. So for me, I might not like it, but not, so other people might really love it because that's just what their palate is and so on. But yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean, I did learn one thing. I looked up IPA. I know it's Indian Pale Ale. And that hoppiness comes from keeping it preserved when they used to be on the ships for days. Is that right?
That's correct? Yeah, that's correct. Right. Yeah. So they started to. Well, it's funny you should say that because you'll probably all know James Blunt, the singer. I'm not going to attempt to sing what he sings, but he was somehow given a beer show on Sky, and then I saw an interview where they'd interviewed him about it, and they did a beer quiz for him, and he didn't know what IPA stood for, which kind of just annoyed me a little bit that he's got a beer show and he didn't know what it stood for, whereas you've clearly done your research.
I'd have thought that was day one.
Exactly.
I thought that would be day one. What does IPA stand for? And that was it. And I sort of guessed it was. Did I think it was Indian? But I looked a little bit more into it. I don't go into total depth, but I might be a connoisseur by the end of the week. Just another thing. Right, I've not even opened my can yet. Do I sniff it when I open it?
You can do if you want to. Yeah.
Ooh.
What do you think? This could be a game changer for you. Now, I'll tell you about this one though. These are from Leeds Vocation, so the Yorkshire-based brewery in Leeds. Okay. This is, so again, we've got it from a supermarket because I've obviously we decided to choose supermarket available beers, because that it's something we could both get hold of quite easily, whereas bottle shops, you're not necessarily going to have the same things. But this has been a lot of beer lovers on Instagram sort of claim that this is their favorite supermarket available craft beer, and sessionable as well, 5.2%. So that's why I've picked this one, and it is really good and really easy to drink. You'll also see that craft beers, a lot of them are what you call hazy, so you can't see through them, and that's because they don't tend to filter them in the same way as what they do with your lagers and your pilsners and stuff like that. Because basically the reason they filtered them is not generally for taste; it was for look. Because obviously beer adverts, lager adverts, they wanted to show a clean, crisp-looking beer, and that's kind of not become the fashionable thing anymore. So now they don't tend to. With craft beer, they don't tend to filter them, which also makes a lot of craft beer vegan as well. Because a lot of lagers are actually, not all lagers, but a lot of the premium brand ones are actually filtered through like fish scales. I can't remember the actual name for fish scales, but they filter them through that, which makes them not vegan. And a lot of people go, ooh, when they find that out. But yeah, that's the truth of a lot. Whereas craft beer, you don't tend to get that. That's why they've got the hazy kind of look, because I kind of like the hazy look anyway. It looks thick-bodied.
Well, I like cloudy apple juice. That's a new thing. That would never have been a thing years ago, cloudy apple juice. But it used to be, I suppose, for an advertising point of view. But I think it looks better. It looks, I don't know, for me, it looks psychologically, it looks more, there's more in it. There's more nutrition now. I don't know. That's just my perspective. Anyway, I'm not drinking. So
Sweet. What do you think?
Very sweet.
It is. It's juicy as well. You'll probably find.
Cool. Yeah, it hits the back of your throat. You expect. What percent is this? 4 points.
5.2.
So it's Stella Artois stuff, isn't it? This.
Oh
yeah. The Neanderthals coming out of me. But yeah, you smell that beautiful smell, and then it kicks you at the back of your throat. What is that? Is that the hoppiness?
Yeah, or it can be the bitterness as well. You know what I mean? That sort of gets you as well. Now, the good thing about craft beer as well, if you don't like the sort of bitter tastes and stuff, you can go for varieties that are slightly less bitter and are a little bit more like sweeter or a bit easier, on the palate sort of thing. And I tend to really like NEPA's New England IPAs in comparison to West Coast IPAs, which I like both styles, but I prefer a New England, NEPA, because I tend to find them a bit softer, a bit sweeter, a bit nice, not quite as bitter. And also a lot of West Coast have like a quite piney taste, which I'm okay with, but I don't like too much of it. So I tend to go for something called a New England IPA, which is probably not too dissimilar to this one really, but yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I really like that. What's the I haven't checked it out. Is it a myth that chemicals that are put in beers in the UK compared to other European countries? Because I did a test many years ago on a Stella that came from Europe compared to a UK Stella, right? And I could taste something at the back of my throat, and I always thought it was something to do with the chemicals, preservatives, or something like that. And is there any truth to that, or is that just BS?
I wouldn't know that, to be honest. I mean, one thing I would expect is that more craft beer breweries are likely, especially the smaller independent ones, are likely to use anything else but what they can sort of like naturally get. And a lot of beers like things like they cover everybody, so a lot of beers these days are gluten free and stuff like that as well, so they are quite careful about what they put in. And I wouldn't have thought, I'd have thought that would be less the case with craft beer and the smaller independent breweries than maybe with the bigger ones that are producing en masse sort of thing. So yeah, I wouldn't know that for sure, but I saw a question.
Go on. Yeah, go on.
I saw a question from someone. I didn't want to, ignore it. It might have been Adam, but it came up and it said about, he's generally, or somebody said they were generally a Guinness drinker. What drink would they try?
Oh, that might have been Adam. I think it was Adam.
Yeah.
It's bad enough when me and Mark do this live stream to actually get control of the comments. It's worse when I'm on my own. It's even worse when I've had a drink. I've got no chance, have I really? Right, hang on. So, yeah, you did mention something, Adam, about
Yeah, he said he likes Guinness. Guinness is in a bit of a world of it. It's a world of its own. Guinness. It's everybody loves Guinness. There's not many people that turn their nose up at a Guinness because it's just Guinness in it, and the heritage behind it and all that kind of thing as well. But there are a lot of really, really good, and it's not something I generally drink too much of, but I do like them. I call them a Sunday drink. But there are a lot of really good like craft stouts and craft porters out there. And a lot of breweries do that. I mean, there's one in my local area, and Dave of the Hardy Arms is on now, and he always goes on about me and how much I love Sheffield and stuff like that. But there's a brewery in my area called Little Critters Brewing Company, and they are really good at craft stouts and porters. One of them that I got is a chili chipotle porter. And they've used like Mexican chilies and beans and cacao. Is it cacao beans? I think it is something like that.
Chocolate. Yeah.
So you do get that little like chocolatey taste followed by a little spicy kick. And they do other things as well. They do things like that. They do one called the Nutty Ambassador, which is a bit more of like a sort of nutty kind of stout sort of thing, like chocolate orange ones. Honestly, you can get some really good stouts and porters, and it's not something I tend to have a lot of because I tend to drink when I'm wanting to go out and have a, and those kind of things to me are more like Sunday dessert kind of drinks. So
I get you.
I'll have them, but
I get you. And say when I go over to Ireland, you have to drink Guinness. When you're in Templar's Bar, I've been over there. It was probably last time 3 years ago, and you have to just drink Guinness out there. You wake up great the next day. I was on a working trip actually and had a few.
It settles the stomach if you've had loads of something and you're like, oh, I don't know, if you have a Guinness and it helps settle your stomach, doesn't it? And I've only just started to realise, because I've never really been a massive Guinness fan up until probably the last couple of years, and then I realised, actually, it's a good one. It's I wouldn't have it all night, but it's a nice stomach settler.
No, it's right, but it's you get used to these things. And there's another drink, I don't know if you've had it, called grappa, an Italian drink, like a digestive. I think it's a digestive. At the end of the meal, you have a grappa, and it settles your stomach.
Yeah.
And it works really well. It's really strong. Some Italians don't actually quite don't like it, but I think it's great. And what was that other one called? I can't remember the name of it now. One similar. Anyway, that was a question, actually. I saw a video. I don't know if you know much about this, but when you're pouring out a beer or a lager, it's better not to have a head. Literally splash it in there because the bubbles don't explode in your stomach. You don't end up with gas. Is there any sense in that? Or
well, so Pablo Disco Bar, which is a great name for a bar, by the way, Pablo Disco Bar. I'm sure he's again another one of our contributors on the show. He does loads of good stuff. So before we move on to answer that question, Pablo Disco Bar does a feature on our show called Sheddy Mercury. And basically, do you remember Shooting Stars when they used to do and sing this song?
Yeah, I do.
So he does that for us, and the listeners have to guess what it is, and it's hilarious, and he does a great job with it, and he does lots of other stuff for us as well, and he's brilliant. But Pablo Disco Bar, what a name for a bar, absolutely brilliant. Got great like t-shirts and stuff that match his theme and stuff. But yeah, he actually did he showed me this or told me about this, and then he did his own little video to demonstrate it. But yeah, apparently you're better not to sort of slowly tip the beers in, because then you're sort of keeping the gas in the and it
ends up in your stomach and explodes. It gives you gas.
Apparently, you're just best to go. Oh, I've just poured the rest of it all over the place. But apparently, you're best just to go straight in like that. And yeah, obviously, you might have to do it a bit slower because you might just get it all bubbling over. But apparently, that's the best way to do it. And you'll have quite a big head to start with, but it'll settle. And then you've knocked the kind of air out of it, and it might be better, especially if you're on a session. If you're having a few beers, that might be the way to do it. And I've seen a few people say the same thing. So yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I saw it and I thought, I'm going to ask you about that because I don't know how much truth is in it. I thought it's that feeling of going down when it's fizzy. I don't know, but anyway.
Something else that might be worth mentioning. Dave Hardy of the Hardy Arms. Again, he's the sort of the other guy who comes on the sort of quizzy bit that we have with us. But he's just mentioned. What have I missed other than talking about black beer? Because Dave can't stand stouts and porters. Now, everyone's different. Like, I'm okay with stouts and porters. I love my pales, my IPAs, dippers, neepers, all those kind of things. But Dave hates his dark beers, his stouts and porters. What he does love is something else that's worth mentioning. This is a kind of, I would say, the trend thing at the minute in craft beer world, and it's sour beers. Something I can't really hack. But these are completely different, and you might drink it and think it's not even like a beer. It's more like I don't know, like something fruity. It's sour. It's refreshing. It's a good one for the sun. So there's a lot of people who are starting to really, really like. Well, there's a lot of people who love sours. And the other thing about sour beers is it's actually getting a lot more females, a lot more women into beer as well. Because it's just one of those drinks that's really appealing to women, and that's kind of been a starting point for women getting into craft beer a lot of the time. There's obviously a lot of women before that who love craft beer, and we've got a great community on Instagram full of female craft beer drinkers, which is great. But the sours in particular are something that's probably encouraged that interest even more.
And also the cans as well, the advertising I've noticed. You mentioned me to get 3 cans today, and I couldn't get one of them, so I got like a bit of a curveball, and I was going to show you to see what you thought of it. And I saw it, and I thought, God, that stands out. Advertising's great. It was about £1.65. This was, so you haven't seen it yet, so I'm going to show you and just see what your reaction is. You're more likely to have it. This is the inner sort of youngster in me.
Oh, yes. So that one, I know Dave's had that one. I've not tried that yet, but it is basically trying to be like the old Rocket Lolly. I don't know what kind of beer it is. I've not had it myself, but Northern Monk are a brilliant brewery. They're great.
Yeah. Well, it's called Blast Hop, which is quite a nice little play on words there. So it's Rocket Lolly, 4.7%. I ain't got my glasses. You know what? I can't even find my glasses.
No.
I should be wearing them now. But anyway, that's the thing. And I looked at it and I thought, I'm just going to get something that just stands out advertising-wise. To me, that was saying, take me. The price is low, so
Northern Monk are very, very creative and very out there when it comes to a lot of their brews. So they've done one that you might have seen in the supermarket recently or advertised, but Aunt Bessie's Yorkshire pudding beer. So
what's that game broke up?
I think they've done like an Aunt Bessie's like roast dinner beer. Northern Monk.
Oh right, yeah. God.
Yeah.
So is that like a a beefy sort of?
I imagine so. I imagine it's a bit more of a traditionally type beer. Yeah, quite malty, possibly things like that. Yeah. So, but So Northern Monk are very, very creative, and they're always coming up with things like beers that you think might be April Fool's beers, and they turn out not to be. Those kind of things.
It shouldn't work, I suppose. But I suppose Christmas time is a good time to get this in, because when you've got dark evenings, people come round for a few drinks, you get a few of these out and say, oh, let's try this one, let's try that one before. And that's another question, actually. When you drink, you're certainly an expert on this. You're sampling. I'm sampling 3. I want to sample 3. You're drinking one after the other. Is that like drinking the same drink? Are you going to get a bit of a... Is it like when you got the same IPAs, whether they're all IPAs, is it like drinking the same variety? Is it like classing...
Not
mixing drinks
no.
or what?
That's the thing. If you get one beer and it says IPA on it, and then you've got another beer and it says IPA on it, or they both say pales or whatever, they're likely to still be different because they use different hops and a mixture of different hops. Sometimes they'll use one hop and focus on one hop's flavor and characteristics. Sometimes they'll have a couple of different hops in there, maybe even more. So you can almost guarantee that one IPA will be completely different to another. You know, some people who maybe haven't tasted as many will taste the similarities and will get that first. But I think the more that you drink, not in a row all at once, but the more you drink over a period of time, I think you realize how different these beers can be, and how much the hops bring out different flavors in different beers, not just the hops, but the different malts that they use in them as well. So
yeah, well, on that note, then I'm going to finish this, and then I'm going to go into that. Do you normally, for these sort of videos or these podcasts, do you drink a little bit and then move on to the next, or do you
I'll probably drink slower when I'm recording, podcasting and stuff like that, because I'm too busy talking. But I'm happy to go straight in. Fine for me. It's Thursday and it's practically Friday. You know,
it's virtually the weekend, isn't it? It's virtually the weekend.
I saw a question before we move on though about the best snacks to have with beer. Now, this is something that we've done quite a few features on in the past. So there's a guy on Instagram called Crisps and Pints, and his Instagram name is exactly what you expect. It's Crisps and Pints, different pairings, different crisps with different pints in pubs or ones he's having at home. we've had him on before. We've had some amazing chats with him, and we've had a good laugh. We've spoke about combinations of crisps and how he's mixed up things like bacon fries and scampi fries to have surf and turf and stuff like that. We have some really good chats with him. We have some brilliant chats with him. But one thing that we did on a show in springtime, I think it was, we did a show where we had Worcester sauce against. I said it right. I managed to say Worcester sauce. It normally takes me a long time to say
what
that.
What you be saying, Worcester?
Worcestershire, all that kind of stuff. I've practiced in advance.
I've seen that. Hang on, here it is.
Yeah,
here it is. Hang on.
There we go.
Is this?
Yeah. So this is the battle. Yeah. So we had obviously. Now I'm thinking about Worcester sauce against Henderson's Relish Crisp. So we got the Seabrook Crisp against Henderson's Relish Crisp. Henderson's a massive thing in Sheffield. By the way, if you've never tried Henderson's Relish, it is 100% different to Seabrook. One thing is it doesn't have anchovies in it. So it's a completely different flavour. It's a bit spicy. It's lovely on your pies, on your anything you have with gravy, out like that. Cheese and toast. It's brilliant on cheese and toast. But anyway, these two went head to head. And we had two beers as well. So one from, Worcester and one from Sheffield. And Sheffield came out on top, obviously. Obviously it did. And that actually got featured as well in the local Sheffield Star as well, which obviously resulted in a few other postings on other websites as well. But yeah.
Yeah, I think we've got is this... Here we go.
There you go. That's the one, yeah.
There you go.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Brilliant.
So yeah,
just going on from that, Marmite. Does Marmite go with anything?
Well, you either love it or hate it.
You're not to rate it. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a byproduct of out in Burton on Trent, isn't it? Where the what breweries out there? Burton on Trent, which where they make Marmite anyway, and it's a byproduct.
Yeah.
I love it. I
wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody, if one of the breweries has attempted Marmite. I'm sure if any of our beer experts are in the chat, they'll let us know if there has been a Marmite beer. Yeah, if not, there's a gap in the market, and I'm sure Northern Monk are the first ones who are going to fill it. So yeah.
Oh, there you go. I'll only take 1% out of that. So I said it first. The other one's, of course, Vegemite, which is the Australian version.
It is,
yeah. I've got a tub. I got a tub of that actually when it was in Australia this year, and it tastes exactly the same. And I think they thought that they sort of cornered the market. I think 1 point they've either stole it from us or we've stole it from them. Anyway, they've rebadged it.
It's like the international version of like Henderson's against Henderson's Relish against Worcester sauce. It's like the international version of that, isn't it? Like Marmite from wherever that's from against Australia's Vegemite. It's like the opposite.
Exactly. It's interesting, the comments here on cheese on toast is nice. And then you get the other comment, which is Marmite goes straight in the bin liner. so there's no grey areas when it comes to Marmite. Anyway, we're going off subject here. Let me shall I crack open? In fact, what shall I crack open first? The Rocket Lolly or what's this one?
I would love you. Now we've got different beers now, haven't we? But I would love you to try the Juice Forsyth, because this is
Forsyth.
Yeah. So this is brilliant. Like it's Brew York,
and you can see.
Yeah. You got the artwork on that.
I was just going to get Brucey on there as well. Brucey on the front, of course.
Now, to me, this is one. Whenever I have this, I always go to, because my wife hates beer. But whenever I have this, I go, taste this to my wife, and I try and force it down her. Because I'm convinced that it just doesn't taste like. I mean, it does taste like beer to a slight extent, but it's just like it's like having a smoothie but in beer form.
Ooh.
Have a taste of that. It's thick, it's juicy. I think you'll get like mango in it and stuff like that. It's brilliant. It's as a supermarket beer. It's brilliant. You can pick that one up. And it's very popular. They've done like even stronger versions of it in recent
If I didn't even know
as well.
If you didn't tell me, just from marketing point of view, what that was, you described exactly what I thought it would be just by looking at the tin. I'm thinking that's a summer drink. I'd say like lilt to me. I'd say a little bit tropical, but a smoothie even better. So
I'll give you a point, and you know what points mean? Prizes.
Points made prizes. Got to do him. Nice. Oh, let's have a sniff.
I wish I could have got this one, but I ain't got a Sainsbury's local to me. That was the issue.
I went to Sainsbury's. Did I get anything from there? Oh, that's where I got the. So I went to Tesco's.
Yeah.
I went to Tesco's, and that Vocation was only in there 4 cans. And I thought, I'm going to get a singular one because I might even like it. And I thought there was only a 4-pack there. They had nothing else. So I went down to Morrison's. Did I get anything from there? Oh, yeah, I got that from there. The one we're drinking now, Juice Forsyth. And then I went to Sainsbury's, and that's where I got the Rocket Lolly. So I couldn't find the other one that you'd mentioned. I can't remember what it's called now, but you mentioned another one.
Oh, that was the Relevator. So I suggested this one because this is a West Coast. I kind of wanted to show you a little bit of the difference between, like a kind of like a Nipah, that kind of side thing, to a West Coast, which is a little bit more piney. I think you get a bit more bitterness and dryness from these. So kind of wanted to show you that as well. But again, you can see the kind of artworks that you get on the can. Pretty impressive.
I'll look out for that. Definitely. So I've poured half a glass.
Can you show us how thick?
Belching,
show us how thick it is. Show us how thick it is. Look at that.
That is thick. Would you say that's thicker than the last one? It looks thicker.
Definitely, yeah. And I love this beer, and I've had it in can. I've had it on keg, which is like your carbonated thing from a pub, like what you'd have lager on. And I've had it on cask, which is your hand pull, no air, no gas. I've had it in 3 different versions, and it's a great beer.
Right, okay.
And again, one that you can get from supermarkets as well. Andy Dunn's joined us as well.
I'm trying. Do you know what? Anyone that's commenting here, I'm just listening to every word that Jimbo's saying. I'm not paying. It's bad enough when me and Mark do it. Mark has to take over at some points, and anyway, we'll lose the track. So Andy Dunn's in here as well. Where is he? What's he called? Hey, Andrew Dunn.
He's got me Sunday
name. Hey up, me duck. Hey up, me duck. Where are you from, Andy? I can't remember. Where's Andy from? Is he Sheffield as well?
He's from Stoke-on-Trent.
Oh, the Potters.
Mm-hmm. And he's a Potters fan as well. Yeah.
Potters fan, of course. Well, I'm not from Nottingham. I go through Stoke all the time. I'm going up to Liverpool. But yeah, he's got a great. If anyone's on Instagram, is it down as Andy Dunn?
Andy Dunn 83, I think.
Yeah, check his pub shed out, and also the Hardy Arms, of course.
Yeah, can both sling us a fiver for that later.
Oh, well, there. Oh, who else can we chuck in? Who else is there? Who's going to willing to bribe us?
We've got the Brew Club All. I mentioned him earlier on. Pablo Disco Bar's there, I think, somewhere as well. There's a few beer lovers on there. Yeah.
Oh, we've got this is our right. So I'm going to give Doug a shout out here. If anyone hasn't seen his channel, and including you, Jimbo, you ought to check his channel out. Just for the workshop alone, it's the detail that's gone into this workshop is fantastic. The amount of effort that Doug has put into it over, I dare say, 30 years, something like that. But anyway, check his channel out on YouTube. And just going on to YouTube, you've got your Spotify podcast, but you've also on YouTube now as well under Alien Audio. So after this video, don't stop watching us now, but go on afterwards and go and subscribe to Jimbo on there. And I think it's is it excerpts from your podcast?
Yeah, so we just started recently realizing that we need to record what we're doing as well. Now we can't put everything on there because obviously we are like mainly we're a music show as well, so we can't get everything on YouTube. But a section of the show in particular and some of the highlights with myself, Andy, and Dave, or whoever guest appears on as well. We're going to put that on YouTube, and we've got quite a bit on there now already. So, and there's a couple of parody song videos. Sometimes with the parody songs, I went as far as making a video as well. Not always, but there's a couple of videos on there if you want to watch them as well.
Fantastic. I'm just trying to get. What was I going to do here? I was going to do something. Oh, that was another one. If anyone's watching, Brett from Useless to Useful, he's got a great man cave, a real good bar shed. All handmade out of old pallets, that sort of thing. He's done an amazing bar top out of old nails you take out of pallets, and he's set it all out in a Union Jack and then poured resin over the top of it. Fantastic. Check his channel.
Brett, if you're not on Instagram, Brett, join Instagram. Put your pub shed name in and all that kind of thing. find us because the Instagram pub shed community and the beer lovers as well, that we've kind of combined and we've formed this amazing like community online on Instagram, which I know you're on there as well, Weekend Shedhead. They are such, everyone is so nice. It is ridiculous. I mean, I initially, I was looking at the Facebook groups for sheds and pub sheds and stuff, kind of, got me advice from there and stuff. And sometimes there were a little bit of back and forwards on Facebook groups, people having a few arguments and maybe not being as nice to each other as they could be. And I joined Instagram, and honestly, everyone on Instagram is just ridiculously nice and so supportive of each other. It's so good. You're
right. I haven't explained this story to my subscribers actually, but I had a channel, Weekend Shedhead, and I got it hacked end of last year. And once you get an Instagram account hacked, you cannot get it back. No matter what you try and do a face recognition for Instagram to any photos of you, and they recognize it's you to prove it's you. Still couldn't get it back. So I lost faith in Instagram completely. And then I set up another one earlier this year, and I haven't really put my heart and soul into it again. I will do, because I know there's so many fantastic pub sheds out there. I mean, and a lot of it happened in lockdown, didn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Everyone couldn't get down to pubs, so they were setting up. And one of them, Shed 62, Scott Ingram mentioned.
Yes, so Shed. Oh, yes. Sorry, I didn't. He'd not got his proper. If he'd have put Scott, because I always actually call him Scott, but he does actually live in the. No, he lives in the Netherlands, actually, in Hoorn, in the Netherlands.
Oh, there we go. Near enough.
Now. So there he is. Yeah, can't forget Shed 62 as well. So that's one of our listeners as well in the Netherlands. Yeah.
Yeah, Double D's.
And Double D's 23, yeah, he's here as well. See, they're all logging on now. I found them all. There we go.
Oh,
if there's anyone else I've not seen, yeah, give a shout.
I'll try and look through, see what I can see here. And yeah, there's a lot of subscribers that watch this after the live as well. So
yeah.
Hopefully you'll get a few people coming over. Right, I'm drinking this. I'm not talking about it. So
yeah, what do you think? Is it good? Do you like it?
Very good.
I wonder where would you put it compared to the last? I reckon the last one. I reckon you could probably have quite a few of them and enjoy them. But I reckon this one, you might think this is nice. But it's.
I think the other way around. I don't know why.
Really?
It's probably because I've had one already. Yeah, it just seems just a little bit more fruity.
Yeah.
Drink it out of the can, see if that makes a difference. Yeah, it's a little bit more. I mean, I like Southern Comfort because of that sweetness. That slight sweetness, rather than whiskey or bourbon. Well, it is a bourbon, I suppose. But
that is my finishing drink on any night out, or if I'm in here, and I've had too many beers and I want one more. I would turn to the Southern Comfort Lime and Lemonade. That's like my end of the night nightcap type thing.
Time. I do it all the time, neat, and the problem is with it, I can drink it quite easily. That is the problem. And anyone that's watching, by the way, drink responsibly, of course. But when I get to the end of the night, and then I'm passing it around, and the wives usually say, "No, you're not having any more. No, you're not having any more." And I'll drink it, and it goes down too easy. That's my problem. So I try and resist the temptation as much as possible. But at the end of the night, it's a nice little, nightcap.
I've just spotted that we've got Jan of the Box and Hounds who's on as well. So
yes, I remember Fox and Hounds. Yes.
Box and Hounds. Yeah, Box and Hounds.
Oh, Box and Hounds.
So we have a feature on our show called I don't know if you've got it on one of your pictures actually, but it's called What's in Jan's. It's called What's in Jan's Box, because Jan's name is Jan Box, and she once when we had a bit of a pub shed meetup. Yeah, there we are. When we had a bit of a pub shed meetup once in Watford, a tiki bar in Watford, we had a meetup, which is another great thing about this community. We have little meetups and stuff like that. Jan brought this cool box full of these different beers she'd got from a local breweries, and she was just handing them out willy-nilly, and we were all having a laugh about Jan's box. So we created a game called What's Inside Jan's Box, and it's 20 questions. Brilliant. You've got to guess what's in the box, and it could be anything pub shed or garden related. So it could be practically anything that any of your guys will use. It could be tools, it could be equipment, it could be beer stuff, it could be anything at all. And we have a little theme tune for Jan, which everyone likes to sing along to. So, you know, Living in a Box by Living in a Box.
Yes, I do.
Here we go.
Go on.
What's in Jan's box? What's in Jan's box's box? What's in Jan's box? What's in Jan's box's box? What's in Jan's box? What's in Jan's box's box?
I wish Mark was here tonight. I really wish he was here tonight because we've been trying to get a theme tune done for we haven't really tried. He came on once with his guitar and we're singing along and it sounded a bit like Play School or Bagpuss. But this sort of thing, I love anything like that. So you've literally took time to dub over that and get it and write.
Yeah. I mean, it's not just me. I've got another guy called the Taylor Tavern on the. He's another pub shed who helps with the podcast as well, and he's actually a musician compared to me. I just sing over karaoke tracks, but he's an actual musician, so he does some jingles as well. But when Jan asks questions, if Andy and Dave ask a question, you know, is it the usual question they always ask first is it made of wood? That's the standard first question in the game, and then Jan has to either reply
no
or
yes,
and then we get that, and then eventually they've got to try and work it out. And most of the time, Andy and Dave are stood there looking around the sheds, trying to work out what it could be. The listeners are screaming because they know what it is, but Andy and Dave can't work it out. And there is actually, we've got a new website now called aleandaudio.co.uk, and I've put a couple of games on there. I've made a couple of interactive games. So if anyone wants to have a go at the interactive online version of What's in Jan's Box, go to aleandaudio.co.uk, go to the games section and have a go. And I can tell you, nobody's got it right yet. And it's been coming up to a week. Nobody's got the right answer yet. So go and have a go.
Right, and that's your website, is it? I'll put it in the description afterwards.
Yeah, aleandaudio.co.uk is the website, but you'll find it on.
Okay,
you know,
on
easy
enough,
Instagram.
Isn't it? With the what's the and called? The
ale and. Yeah, it's just the website is ale and the word and ale and
the word and
.co.uk.
I'm gonna put it up there anyway. .co.uk, yeah, like that.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, hang on, no, it's not there. It's not there.
No, it's there. You go.
Is that right? Yeah, there you go.
That's it. If you want to have a game of Jan's Boxes, you know, you can hear us playing it, but there's a separate interactive game on the website. But yeah, check out the podcast on Friday. Well, I mean, there's loads of episodes now, but you know, go and listen to the latest one tomorrow on Friday.
Brilliant. Okay. Well, why wouldn't you? Why don't you go over? I haven't listened enough, I must admit, Jimbo, and I've listened to a few episodes, but I need to listen more. I think what I need to do is while I'm driving. That's the time.
That is the time. That is the time. You can't be drinking at the same time, but you know you can listen while you're driving. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Right, I'm gonna quick drink this.
Yeah, I'm glad you enjoy it.
I like that.
Good stuff. I'm glad I've got your good recommendation.
But you're saying it's a girly drink, though, yeah?
No, I'm not. I'm not saying that. No, definitely not. I mean, no. I love that one. I do admit, if I've had a couple of them, I'd start to get kind of a bit over the juiciness and the thickness of it. And I want something else, but I do like that one. And as far as getting a beer like that from a supermarket, it's really good that you can get them from a supermarket because
that was from that was from Morrison's.
Yeah. Oh, Morrison's, that's it. Yeah.
Morrison's? Yeah, it was Morrison's. Yeah. Right, I'm going to open the rocket. See what it's like.
Here we go. I've not had this one, so I can't comment, but I know that Dave of the Hardy Arms has, so if he wants to tell us what he thought of it, feel free. While you're opening,
do you know what I should do? If we do this again, which I'm sure we will, because we only do this for about an hour each time, I need to eat in the day.
Yes, you do. Just while you're opening that, Michael, who's Pablo Disco Bar, has just said as well that we've got a feature on our show called Pub Shed Confessions or beer related confessions. We call it Guess the Fess, but it's where we get somebody to send in a confession and then people have got to guess who's confessed to it and stuff like that. So we've had all sorts of stuff. Ooh. We had a guy in America at the Black Barn Pub Shed confess to having a drinking competition and drinking a minnow, a fish in a pint from a pint glass. So
is that a thing? Is that a thing, or is that
might be in America? It's not something I was aware of before the confession, but yeah.
Yeah, we know about the worm in tequila, and we know about what's the other one? In Finland, they have a particular fish that's fermented, and they have it with some sort of
maybe
spirit.
That's it. Yeah.
Well, we certainly have to listen to that. Right, I'm gonna pour this out. What colour do you reckon it is? Do you reckon it's a dark?
Yeah, I think it's like I'm gonna guess amber. I'm gonna guess like an amberish colour sort of that one, possibly. Yeah. So a bit darker than the previous ones. It's coming out lighter though, actually, than I thought.
It is, isn't it? It is. It's similar, I think, to the first one.
Yeah.
Similar.
Yeah.
Oh, it doesn't taste as good.
Yeah, I mean, I think sometimes.
I don't want to tell you what it tastes like. I don't want to tell you what it smells like. Yeah, well, in the instant.
It's not Vegemite, is it?
No, it's honestly, it's sicky.
Oh, well,
honestly,
see, this is what you might get with like the more experimental beers sometimes, you know, when they're trying to taste like something in particular.
Yeah, we don't want to taste like sick.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Like I say, I know the Hardy Arms have that one, but I'm glad it's the one that I didn't recommend that you're not liking as much.
I'm not impressed. But I suppose it's what is it? I'm the worst person to test these things. What is that? Well, the sicky taste is gone. Sicky smell is gone. It's more. No, it's not bad. It's not as fizzy. It's quite light.
I'm intrigued to try it now, just because you have. I might have to go and have a look for it and
just
see
what smell it first, sniff it first.
Yeah.
Do you ever swill and spit? Either is that a thing or not?
I don't. I'm sure that people, maybe the proper connoisseurs, maybe they do. I'm not sure, but I think you're supposed to have a little bit of a swill, aren't you, to get the taste though, if you can. That's
Well, I think it's understanding your taste buds, isn't it? Is it the sweet at the front, the bitter at the back, and the whatever in the middle, something like that.
Yeah.
Right, I've not gone through these questions, and I bet there's loads that I've missed out.
I think one thing we forgot to do is a little tour, and it's not going to take very long. But
always do that. Definitely.
Yeah.
I know you're limited on your
the
radius of your camera.
You can see here is the cask pump. There's in that corner.
Let me get rid of. Hang on, let me get rid of this. I've got these. Let me get rid of this. Right. There we go.
Is that better?
Right, see if I can make you bigger. See if I can make you bigger.
I mean, that is a wish of mine because I am about 5'4". So
yeah, with the aid of technological. Oh no, it didn't work. I've made myself bigger. No.
There we go. Well, I'll show you what I can.
Right, let's do that.
So you've got there. You've got something called a physics machine. You can put any can or bottle in that, and it kind of pulls your drink through like a pub pint sort of thing. Gives it a bit of life, and it's quite a bit of fun, really.
Good idea.
This is the pump that I said you can attach a beer in a bag to, or a mini keg, and you can pull through like a beer. Traditional sort of pub cask pump type thing. You've got your fridge over there. There's another pump up there, which is called the sub machine. Don't tend to use that as much these days. You got your optics on the wall there, and then here we go. Sorry, I'm trying not to give you a crotch shot, but you've got my mixing desk and
look at that. That is what we aspire to on Shed Space. Look at that techno.
There we go. Mate, so there's not much to see.
Do you use Do you use it all? Do you use it all in your
What
on your
the
podcast?
Mixing desk? Yeah. So you've got that's my channel. Couldn't hear me then, could you? Because I turned it down.
No,
turned it down. So that's my mixer, and then I get the other guys on the other mixers, and then the iPad, so you can hear all the silly songs, is plugged into this sort of thing here. But there you go. Yeah, I've got
brilliant.
What
is the size?
Legends. It's only 6x8. 6x8, would you believe? Yeah, so we can get about, I would say comfortably, you can get 4 sat down in here. But we've had 8 stood up. I mean, but I do have a shed extension. I don't know if I can show you it. I don't know if it'll work, but out there, can you see?
Yes.
There's a bit of a shed extension outside. So it's I've got like
I like that
I
word.
have like
I like that word. Shed
extension,
extension.
yeah.
Brilliant.
And it can be it's fully roofed out there, and you can also like pull across like a clear tarpaulin as well, so that
Good idea.
when it's windy or rainy, you've completely covered, and just gives you a bit more room, really. So yeah,
fantastic. I mean, we here I have parties normally at New Year's Eve and occasionally in summer as well, and we get a load of people in here. What's the clearing up like afterwards when you have a little bit of a do?
Ooh,
Do you leave it until the next day, or do you do it that night?
A little bit. I mean, it depends what I'm doing. If I've got the TV outside, I normally have to cover that up and stuff like that, and make sure that's covered up first. But generally, I leave the bottles and everything till the next day, or try and do it as I go along. The other thing I didn't show you was up there. You've got a projector.
Your projector,
which projects onto the wall space there. But surprisingly, for a small shed, it's very tall. So nobody, and I've had a lot of tall people around. A lot of people taller than me, but everyone's taller than me. No one's banged their head on it, so yeah.
Oh, good stuff, good stuff. Well, I've got one, funnily enough, just above my head here that goes onto the back wall. I've got a little pull-down thing. It's great for football games, that sort of thing, and boxing, the like. But you can't watch it in daylight. You've got no chance.
Yeah, well, and the good thing about here is that the only window that I've got is, I call it my long, thin window, and I've covered some of it anyway with stickers. So that's the only. It's like a bird hide window, if anything. And that's another character we have on the Ale and Audio podcast, by the way, the David Attenborough, who you'll hear him at the start of the show as well. But anyway, so because of the small window, I don't tend to have too many issues with projector. As long as I keep the door closed, it's okay even in the daytime. So yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, I'm sort of summing up here what Adam said. I'm being educated this week for someone that's not particularly a drinker. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know, but anyway. Hey, Jimbo, we normally do it for an hour. I know we could probably just go on like this for hours, but I have not eaten this afternoon. I'm a third can. Look, go over and check Jimbo out, Alien Audio on Spotify. He's got a new channel now as well, called Alien Audio. Any other... Oh, you got the website, which is www.alienaudio.co.uk. Anybody else you want to shout out? We mentioned Andy Dunn. We mentioned Hardy Arms. Anybody else you want to?
Oh, I mean, we've got so many people. We've got so many people who contribute. But yeah, I mean, a lot of contributors.
An Instagram, a Facebook group that sort of has them all. I think that's probably the way. Is there a Facebook group that everyone can log into and?
Well, if you find everybody's Instagram, if you do go to the website, there is a Meet the Team page. So alienaudio.co.uk, there's a Meet the Team page. So you'll find links on there to everybody's Instagram accounts who contributes with the show, and then you'll find everyone. Because, like I said, we're such a good community on Instagram. You'll find once you find one of us, you get us all. Unfortunately,
exactly, that's right. Or just put in the hashtag SHEDPub. Is that the best word to use? Do you use Shed Pub or do you use Shed Bar or Bar Shed?
I call it Pub Shed. Yeah, Pub Shed. But yeah. I mean, but everyone's got different. We've got basement bars, haven't we, these days? I saw someone with a loft bar the other day, which is first time. Garage bars, all of it. But yeah, Pub Shed for me.
Across the pond, they are fantastic at bar sheds.
Yeah, basement bars. They
are manky. I saw one. He's got his Ferrari parked in the middle on a turntable. I'm like, wow.
There's a guy in Leeds who's he's turned his garage into a bar, and it looks brilliant. But he's got his Mini in there as a feature. He's got a Mini.
Wow, brilliant!
And it's absolutely brilliant. That's Bellwood's End Bar. That is, if anyone wants to check it out. So yeah,
go and check it out. We're good to get him on as guests as well. And when you're in the area, we'll have to do a meetup.
We will.
Come down when you're down Nottingham sort of way.
Well, there's quite a few
party here and.
Quite a few of the beer lovers have had meetups in Nottingham in the past, so there'll be plenty more of them. There's quite a few people in the Midlands sort of area, so that won't be hard. And we'll get you on the Ale and Audio. We'll get you on Ale and Audio podcast as well.
Defo. I'm out of touch, and I need to get back onto Instagram and hook up with the old people I used to follow, and they used to follow me. I need to see all the developments. And when that happened with Instagram, I lost my account. I lost all faith with Instagram. I thought, I'm not interested anymore. But now I've got another account, so I need to get back in the swing of it again. And I used to see Andy Dunn and yourself popping up, and Hardy Arms,
yeah.
Hardy Arms putting things on there, and I used to love it. But I lost love in it. But I'll come back. I'll come back. So, mate, thank you so much. First ever guest on Shed Space. It's been fantastic, really has.
Yeah,
and I didn't know.
Thank you for having me. Yeah,
it's just flown by. It's just flown by, mate. So
no,
we'll stay in touch. Thanks for everyone for watching. I missed loads of comments,
everyone.
loads of. I missed all sorts. So, but the good thing is, and I don't know if you've ever noticed, Jimbo, but everyone talks amongst themselves. So it's not like I'm annoying because someone else will reply or someone else will put another comment. So they sort of speak for themselves. So anyway, thanks very much for watching.
I know a few people have said they've give us a follow and stuff, and I'll find you and I'll follow you back as well. But yeah, thank you for having me, and thanks to all listeners who've left questions, commented and stuff as well, and your viewers. And yeah, thank you very much.
Go and subscribe to his channel. Go on Spotify. Leave it to that. Cheers, Jimbo.
Bye-bye.
Take care, everybody. Cheers. That's terrible, that applause. I need to get a better one than that. I need to get yours. Get yours on there. Get yours. Can you do yours?
Get mine on there. Hold on a minute.
Look at this. Look at that. The Craft Ale enthusiast. Thanks very much, mate. Take care, everybody.
See you later.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Cheers.